Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depends on where you are in this world. And on our next, the new ABC show, where we keep you updated on our progress and all the exciting things which are happening in our world. But first of all, we really had a couple of discussions this week, Ratana and myself, about hiring, the old ways of hiring versus what we think should be the new, and new, not something in the future, but something which you should be doing now. Yeah.
Yeah.
What were your experiences this week, or what were your thoughts around that?
Well, as we are involved in different projects, we noticed that how people are hired or connect simply via social networks. It's that they reach out via Twitter or any other platform, via simple tweet, via DMs, or even publicly, and they start to get to know each other via this way, simple as that. So they start to know who you are, what your intent these days, and what are your current exciting projects. And then people are setting up just a hangout or Skype call, or chat, and that's how they get to know each other and they see if there is a fit or not for doing projects together. Simple as that. So that means that the traditional ways of hiring or connecting or even networking are really changing a lot.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, you say a lot of things in just a few sentences, but the main thing is, we all know that everybody writes a resume or a CV that looks beautiful and looks like everybody is successful, which normally is not the case.
Yeah.
So it's a bit weird that you write the resume like you did this and this, and these are the results, and everything was great and fine and super.
Yeah.
But you look at the past, and at the same time, in finance they say, well, previous results are no guarantee for future ROIs. So it's basically the same. It's like, well, if you were successful in company A, it doesn't mean you will be successful in company B, or maybe you're totally bored with it and you want something completely different. So that is one thing. And the other thing is what I really think is really important, that we get to know the whole person, the whole human being. So not only what you were doing for your work, but that you also think, what are your hobbies? What volunteering are you doing? What is the thing which you're really excited for? What you want to do in life? Yeah. So rather look at what you said from the current position towards, well, the future or the next few days, where you say what projects excite you and whatever. That says much more than something which I did 5, 10, 15, and in my case many years ago. And that is no indicator of what you will be doing now.
That's it. Yeah. What are also your core values or principles, because that's what people recognize or feel, and that's how they connect to with you. It's not just what you have done or what you intend to do, it's also who you are, as you said.
Yeah, well, that is ultimately, I think, the most important part. And again, it's an old industrial age separation between work and life. It's like work is from 9 to 5. And what I do outside of the time, I don't tell, I don't mention, or whatever, because it's a separate me. I have this story where I can still recall in my last job, which was a multinational, and I had my office, and just 2 doors down the corridor, there was another office where some IT guys were sitting. And there was this guy, and he came in the morning, and he looked very unhappy. And he stayed in his room all of the day, and I had no clue at least what he was doing, whatever. He was not communicating. And then at 5 o'clock, or even 5 minutes before 5, he would leave again. And at a certain point in time, I saw him coming in and looking really happy, and he's wearing a motor jacket. And then I asked him, I said, what's happening? Whatever. Yeah, well, that was his big hobby, driving on these motorcycles. Yeah. Like, wow, this guy looked like a total different person when he talks about his motorcycle rather than his work. Yeah, so in that, but I think with all the technology and media, there is this separation no longer exists. Yeah, you work when you have time or when you need to, and that can mean sometimes you work 20 hours a day, or sometimes you do nothing in a day, or you work on a Sunday afternoon. It doesn't matter. So there is no longer the separation, which is really crazy, because why should I be a different person in my work as in the rest of my life? So I think it's a crazy separation anyway. But that is why a lot of these hiring practices, whatever, are again also, like we said, just totally outdated.
Yeah, absolutely. And as the way we are working and learning continues, it's a flow, because we can work almost all the time because of these devices, internet. You can work locally and remotely and globally, all the time, on the go or in your different workplaces, So that's something that changed also the practices on hiring, on learning and working. Simple as that.
Yeah, so it's like we've been saying before, that there's so many changes happening, but still the old practices need to catch up. Well, they need to be disrupted, they need to be changed, because they still fit for an old situation, which basically no longer exists.
That's it. Yeah. So that's also a good bridge to discuss about the documentary that you and me watched a few days ago. With this conference, Think Diff. Diff is with the hashtag Think Diff, DIF.
I will put it there.
Yeah. Just share it in the chat maybe. But it was a real documentary on startup kids. So Arnold, I know that you also watch it during the evening carefully. What are your thoughts on this documentary?
Well, it was quite nice to see some of the real faces and people behind some of the well-known brands like Dropbox and SoundCloud, and hear their stories. But what stood out for me is that normally in all of these startups, everybody paints a picture which I think is far too rosy, which look like everybody's successful and everybody's going to get $1 million investment, and you're going to be with your face in all the publications and whatever. But this really showed, I think, a realistic thing, that it's extremely hard work. You put in many hours and you have no clue what it is. And like ourselves, we're also on what they call a bootstrap budget, and you're just trying to make the best out of things. What I liked is that it was an honest picture of the challenges, and same time that they also mentioned that you need to cope with failure. It is one of the main life skills areas which we address with TNAs, is that you really need to be kind of comfortable with dealing with failures, because if you can't, then you will have a very unhappy life, I tell you. So that is one thing, and the other thing is that even Tim Draper, he's one of the most famous venture capitalists in the world. He was mentioning that what did he say? 1 or 2 out of 10 will be successful, and the rest of the folks, you will just fail. So it is. I like that it was really realistic, rather than saying, look at everybody and anyone can become a millionaire, which is clearly not the case.
Yeah. So it's a combination between dealing with failures and iterating and moving forward, and also luck. You told me luck as a startup. But is it also related to being a journalist? Because again, that's something that we discussed this week over a podcast with Jorge Barba, our common friend. So could you say more about these 2 points?
Yeah, well, I would say I'm a generalist for at least consciously aware of it since, I guess I was 14, 15. So already many years ago. But especially when you talk about a startup community and whatever it is, you need to know basically about any area. So if you're whether you're a technology startup or a social enterprise, it doesn't matter. You need to know about marketing, sales, technology, people, businesses, strategy, how to use tools, finances. So because in the beginning you're just with your team of 1, 2, 3, 4 maybe people. So you really need. Everybody needs to know about these areas. You cannot say, I will hire a marketing guy, I will hire a finance girl, and I will. You don't have the money, so that means that you have to become, at least at a basic level, understand all of these things. And for a generalist, that is something very normal and very easy. but I can see that it's quite challenging for other things. Well, for you, Rotana, it's also you're moving in that area, very happy about that, and being a generalist. But for instance, Tamas, our CTO, he's currently far too busy, but he expressed also his will and his intention to get to know about these other areas where currently you and I are mostly involved, and he's working on our technology. But he said, no, I really want to be, and when I have time, I really want to get involved in these other areas, which are really, really, really very crucial. So, yeah, as in a startup, and again, a startup is for me also can be a charity, can be a social enterprise, can be anything, is you need to be flexible, you need to learn fast, you need to learn a lot, you need to work that. Yeah, and that's part of what I discussed with my friend Jorge Barba in his podcast, where I was invited to talk about being a generalist. But I think the core is about curiosity. It's about learning fast. It's about adapting and continuously shifting your attention and just feel comfortable with areas which you don't know, which areas which you are new with, and that is part of life. And it's my understanding, well, and kind of my prediction as well, is that it will be even more and more that people need to be really capable of very fast, well, at least get the essence of a total new area.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the same time, that's something that we are providing, because the title of this today show is Life Skills for Smoothening Life and Work. And again, with the new ABC, that's something that we, again, want to focus with different activities, such as we're introducing webinars and meetups. So Arnold, could you say more about that? Because it will come next week.
Well, the key thing is that we want to help raise awareness, especially among young workers, that things, well, not are changing or will be changing. No, they have changed already.
Yeah.
And it means that you need to have different skills, you need to have different capabilities, a different mindset in order to deal with those challenges, which are currently not being taught at schools and universities or any other education. So that is why we want to do we are setting up a meetup here in Budapest, where we have physical meetings where we invite people and speakers to discuss these things. What is happening in society and what does it mean for me as a new worker? But at the same time, because we already have global customers and a global audience, we are setting up these webinar series every 2 weeks on a Saturday at 10:30 Central European time, where we will be discussing a very, well, topic which is very, well, timely in a sense. So the first topic on Saturday the 14th is around the climate change conference, which is then starting in Paris very soon. So we'll be discussing what is happening there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, so not a high level kind of thing, but what potentially could it mean to me in my work?
That's it. Yeah. So you will discuss that with our friend Mukesh Gupta from Budapest too, originally from India. And can you say more about Mukesh, what he's doing these days?
Yeah, well, he's doing his PhD on environmental science, but at the same time he's a, well, we call it a veteran or a graduate. We have not found the right name yet for our the new worker program, which he finished, and already you see with him, and I really appreciate that is that you see that how he has grown and how he now really has found his voice and is willing to express it, and also express it publicly, because the webinars will be public. And while in the beginning they were totally not ready to do that, and they feel very uncomfortable, and now it's rather the opposite, that he loves doing it. So that is the shift and the growth which we really want to see, and that's already happening. So I'm really happy for him, but also happy for us, because it showed that the program which we did is really producing really great results.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's it for the today's show, Arnold.
Yeah, well, just as the last remark about what we were doing for the app. You know, guys, we promised to have the app ready by the beginning of next year, and we are, as a whole team, working on it. But we made some decisions this week. I had a meeting with Tamaj, and we really simplified some of the approaches. And at the same time, you and I are having screen eyes, but because we we spend so much time on YouTube curating very good content for each of the skills which we have, and that is what we're currently doing. So we are discovering, exploring the right videos to use. We will create some videos ourselves as well, and at the same time, maybe you can share what we did this morning.
Yeah, and those videos are short again because we think that people are always on the go or learning outside the office or school hours. So it's like you are consuming some snacks. You know, it's tiny, it's a micro moment of learning, and that's what we're looking for. So meaning that each video are less than 5 minutes or even 2 minutes for each life skill, so you can really learn fast and have, as we said, we are now some call to actions on what observing is all about, how you can think about that, and how you can also act on it, you know, on this life skill of, for instance, observing yourself, you know, on your own context. So we are writing some, key questions where you can just take it from there and just act, you know, after watching this YouTube video, simple as that.
Yeah, well, the key thing, as we all know, about learning life skills is well, it's basically about most skills is you learn the most when you start applying it, when you start experiencing it, when you start doing things with it, rather than, okay, I read the book, I saw the video, and that's it. Well, that will not create much change. The real where things really create some kind of a behavior change, because that's what we want, is when you start experiencing, when you start doing it, when you start applying it. So that is what we are just starting now. For each of the, well, more than 20 skills which we have, we are giving these suggestions for call to action and say, you could do this, you could do this. And of course, the more you do it, the more you learn, like with anything.
Yeah, just about that. Learning by doing, experimenting, failing, changing your own behaviors by building these habits. Simple as that.
Absolutely. So I think that was it for this week, right?
Absolutely, Arnold. So thank you for those who join us, and thank you, Arnold, too. And have a great weekend, all.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Till next week.